Hello everybody. I think it takes a few moments before the stream actually starts, so hopefully you'll be coming online with me very soon. So since we've got a full moon coming up tomorrow in Sagittarius, I thought this is a great time for us to get together and to look at the ways in which this new moon might be affecting you and us generally. So, happy full moon in Sagittarius. I've called this live stream Good Fortune and Abundance. And the reason I've done that is because Sagittarius is one of the luckiest signs in the zodiac. Now keep in mind that somewhere in your chart, even if you are not a Sagittarius sun, you have got Sagittarius in your chart somewhere. For those of you that know your charts, great, dig it out and see where 8 degrees of Sagittarius is hitting you, which life area. And I'll go around the signs anyway as to what they mean. But I wanted to look at the moment as to what the opportunities are during this vibrational frequency of a Sagittarian full moon. So Sagittarius is one of the most optimistic signs. It's one of the signs that's often very funny. Big, hearty laugh. Always wants to try to see the positive side of things. Remember that Sagittarius follows Scorpio. And Scorpio is intense and wants meaning and depth and likes to dig below the surface. And then we're followed by Sagittarius, who really doesn't want to dig so much, but wants to fly above and have a very high perspective, a new perspective on what's going on. So this full moons often bring things to a head. So maybe something you've been procrastinating with, thinking about for a long time. You may suddenly just make a decision now. You may have already decided a day or 2 or 3 before the full moon, because very often the energy of it really does begin to affect you a few days before, even up to a week before, and a week afterwards, depending on what it's activating in your personal chart. And what is exciting about this full moon is that it's an opportunity to get a whole new perspective on your life, to see maybe a problem or a difficulty from a new angle. For me, I've been procrastinating about several things in my life, and all of a sudden now, just in the last couple of days, I've got clear. I've said, I'm just going. I'm moving. And there's been some people who have not really liked my decision, are you sure you want to do that? Are you sure? Well, it's a fire sign. You might just say, yes, I'm sure, and I'm sticking to it. Because Sagittarius often has really clear opinions about what is right and what is wrong for you. So really tune in at the time of this full moon. And if you've been procrastinating with something, putting it off, and knowing that it's kind of accumulating back there in your psychic space. Time to take some action, possibly at the time of this full moon. So that's one thing I would suggest. The other thing, when I think of Sagittarius, I think of throwing arrows into the air, really just, pitching your arrow out there, not knowing where it's going to fall, but just taking a risk, going beyond, going outside that comfort zone. And trusting. You see, Sagittarius is about having faith. Trusting, knowing deep inside of you that even your most difficult moments have been your greatest teachers. The hardest things that you go through sometimes, you come through it and you're bigger. You can breathe more easily. So, a great way to get in touch with the energy of Sagittarius is to really look for the abundance that you've already got in your life. All too often, we're often looking for what we don't have. Yeah, I'm looking for a relationship, I'd like a better job, I'd like some more money. But how about looking, and that's valid, not saying that you can't want certain things. But it's important to come from this energy, if you can, from having your cup running over, not even maybe half full, but seeing what you really do have in your life and counting those blessings. Many, many, many. Yes. And great blessings to be online with you here now, live, to be able to share an uplifting message with you. And I've had a few emails from various people saying, how can I be joyful when there is so many difficult, bad, horrible, torturous things happening on our planet? And it's a very good question. And it's not about glossing over and pretending that everything is marvellous. No. We're one big family, as I hope you can see more and more. As we're connecting online, we connect with so many different ways now. I think that's going to grow considerably during the next 7 years with Uranus in Taurus. And you know how it is when you're around somebody who is grateful, who is appreciative, who is thankful. That's a frequency. When you put out that frequency, you are able to come up with more creative ideas, more creative, different thinking that doesn't put us back into the old ways of doing things. Some of you have written to me with great sadness and anger about some of the things happening with immigrants in various countries and how painful and upsetting it's been. And we are going to have to handle situations from a centered place within ourselves, feeling strong, feeling well, feeling good within yourself. Doesn't mean to say you don't feel the sadness, absolutely, and the anger, and all those things. But the solutions, the creative solutions with Sagittarian energy. What can we learn from the mistakes of our past? What can we learn from history and the wars and the fighting and all the dreadful things that we've done to one another? How can we creatively look at it? And somebody's just come online here, thank you, saying, no idea what I'm talking about. but it's fun to see me live. Well, thank you for that. And I'm here in Greece much of the time, or I'm in Austria. And these are foreign languages for me. So most of the time, I don't really understand what's being said. And sometimes I think it's important that we look at how we're interpreting. Full moon in Sag, how are you interpreting what is going on around you? And Sagittarius, is it true? I think of the work of Byron Katie. Amazing lady, for those of you who know her. There's all these mind things going on, and it's important to ask yourself, is it true that somebody is abandoning me? Is it true that this person doesn't love me anymore? Is it a projection? So, with or without language, you can feel somebody's vibration. You can feel the energy. Yeah. And I feel your energy when you're interacting with me here and now, and I get all these lovely icons and hearts and trees and umbrellas and all kinds of things you're sending me. It's an energy. Energy. So Sagittarius is all about foreign lands, foreign cultures. How do we connect with foreign ways of doing things? People who do things or say things differently to us. Are we going to cut them off? Or can we try to let them have their perspective? Ooh, ooh, ooh. Hot stuff, this. Hot stuff. It's a fire sign. So where is it happening in your chart? Well, some of you will know, and you'll be able to say, oh, it's in my first house, my second, my third. I'm going to go around the houses, but I'm going to base what I say for each of the signs upon an ascendant. So it puts the sun in the first house. Doesn't matter if you don't understand this, but as a general forecast, I'm going to say that for Sagittarians, it's in your first house. And if this full moon's in your first house, it's an opportunity to look at yourself, to become more aware of maybe the things that you're doing automatically. And also let's look at Geminis, because if it's in your first house for the Saggies, it'll be in the seventh house for the Geminis. So for you Saggies and Geminis, you're looking at relationships. You're looking at habit patterns in relationships. The moon rules your habit patterns. The things you do almost unconsciously without being aware of it. What are you doing unconsciously in your relationships and creating maybe painful experiences, maybe arguments, conflicts? How can you become more aware? Maybe through pain, maybe through sadness. But this new moon is an opportunity for an awareness, and also an awareness of yourself, of the things that you just do automatically. Driving is one. Cleaning your teeth might be another. Getting dressed might be another. I force myself to put a blouse on with the other arm first. Or to put my knickers on with the other leg first. I try to push myself best I can. I'm sure there's plenty I'm doing unconsciously to keep becoming more aware of what I'm doing. And I think that this full moon in Sag is an opportunity to shine a light on unconscious behaviour. Things you're doing without thinking. And to try to change a habit. Try to do it differently. I'm thinking about that now as I'm talking to you. Am I always the same when I'm coming over live streaming? Am I different? How can I be different? How can I be creatively different each time for you? Because it's bloody boring if somebody's same old, same old. So important to bring that variety, that spice of life. So that's the Sagittarius and the Geminis. Now let's look at the next sign. So the 2nd and the 8th are the Capricorns and the Cancers. Here you're going to be looking for this full moon, you'll be looking at maybe your finances, how you're spending money, how you see money, how you see abundance, the appreciation of what you really have in your life. Because it's amazing, the more of the things that you appreciate, usually that are free, for example, like breathing, that's something we really take for granted. I speak for myself. But when I become aware of it, something changes in my physiology. So maybe here right now with me, become aware of your breathing. Become aware of your jaw and your mouth. Are you inclined to smile if I'm smiling at you? Or are you scowling back at me? If it's the 2nd and 8th houses as well, Cancer and Capricorn, you're also looking at your values. What's important to you? Are you spending your time on the important things? Or are you running around chasing your tail, trying to catch up on all kinds of busyness and not feeling as though you're really getting anywhere or making space in your life for the things that you really, really want? I feel tremendously blessed to have work that I so love. I love every aspect of it. Everything, the readings, the channeling, the live streams, the stretches into new things, learning more astrology, learning more about the stars, having a new perspective. Yeah. So, the 3rd and the 9th houses are Aquarius and Leo. So if this full moon's falling in your 3rd or 9th house, this has everything to do with what you believe. It's so easy to take on the conditioned beliefs. You know, you're conditioned to believe this. Maybe you are religious, you go to church, or you don't go to church, or you have different sexual proclivities than most people, or different things. How can you be free from the limiting beliefs? The things that hold you back. And boy, people will around you tell you not to do this and that and the other, and be careful of this and be careful of that. Oh, you don't want to do that. Oh, be careful. So how much are you being influenced by others' beliefs? And how much are you just learning, listening, watching, and coming to your own conclusions, your own ideas, your own things, and sticking to it? And it may be an opportunity to renew your faith. If you've got a bit jaded and things really haven't been going all right, maybe it's time to look around and see what you do have. Once again, if you really look, you'll be amazed at the good fortune that you have. And then we go on to the 4th and 10th houses. This is Pisces and Virgo. So if it's falling in your 4th or 10th house, because always the opposites resonate. I don't like to take things separately, because we are here to engage with one another. We're not here to be in solitary retreat all of the time. Yes, it's important, And then it's important to get out and be in the world and share your wisdom. Share what you've learned. Share your enthusiasm. When I think of Sagittarius, I think of enthusiasm, coming from that Greek word of entheos, in God, the God force, the source, whatever you want to call it. So the 4th and 10th houses are all about learning balance between home and retreat and peacefulness and solitude and quiet time, and being out there and sharing your gifts and sharing your joy. And we're so fortunate, aren't we, now that we've got online. I can still be here at home on my own at the moment and be with all of you. It's amazing. And the technology is going to grow so that this gets easier and quicker and more 3D and more real than it's ever been. Watch out, it's coming. And then we've got the 5th and 11th houses, and that is Aries and Libra. So here you're dealing with honouring the child within you, the child that needs to play, maybe the child that needs to cry because it's lost its toy. Maybe the child that needs to have a little tantrum because it's cross because somebody else went in front of you in the line. Whatever it is, pay attention to your child and let that child just have those emotions. Again, the conditioning sometimes was, don't cry, particularly being a Brit, stiff upper lip type of thing. Yeah. I'm being told I'm echoing. I don't know what to do about that, guys, but I've got a fast internet connection, and as I said, the technology will improve. So if we can try to be a little patient. I know it's a full moon in a fire sign, so patience isn't necessarily a strong suit. So it's the balance between the child and your creativity and doing things you love, even if it's things that seem meaningless and don't have a career, that don't have a money direction to them necessarily. Follow it anyway. You'll see that when you do what you enjoy, you go into a different frequency that draws to you, in Sagittarian fashion, good fortune, abundance, synchronicities, things coming to you exactly when you are hoping they're coming. And then it's the 11th house. It's all about sharing that uniqueness, the individuality of you, the specialness of you. Because each one of us is different. We're not the same. Yes, we share certain characteristics. We belong to a human race, so-called. And yet each one has something distinct to contribute. That's what it is for the Libra and the Aries, this 5th and 11th houses. And maybe it's your 6th and 12th houses. This is Scorpio and Taurus. And if it's falling there for you, this full moon, well, this is shining a light on your daily habits. What is it you're doing daily? Is it supporting your physical health and well-being? Are you sensitive to your body and what it needs? Are you sensitive to undercurrents? Are you interested in exploring metaphysics, esoterics, channeling, astrology? All of these unseen forces. So much of our lives is focused on the seen. You know, the chairs, the tables, studying, books, learning, accomplishing, getting the job, having the relationship, the romance, the children, all of that. How about looking into all the unseen things? Because that's a great, wonderful opportunity if it's happening in the 6th or 12th houses. I could talk about this longer than I really thought I could, actually. And I think a lot of that has to do with our energy of a co-creation happening here together. It's not me just talking at you like a teacher. I am really being guided in everything that I'm saying. I've got a certain basic knowledge, yes, but I'm always trying to extend that, to grow that, so that it's never just the same kind of a message. It's always something with a little added extra. Yeah. Sagittarius is the seeker of the truth. And keep in mind, what is truth for one person may not be for another. Again, looking at the different viewpoints, because we hold different viewpoints. I know I did to my parents. Goodness, they drove me nuts with the way they saw the world and how things should be, and when I should get married, and when I should have children, and the kind of job I should be getting, and the kind of money I should be earning, and the kinds of friends I should be mixing with. To hell with that. Breaking out from the conditioning and knowing when you're in the conditioned and knowing when you're not, and feeling the freedom of the difference. Well, it's hard to tear myself away, but I feel as though I've really said what I wanted to say, or what's needed to be said. I'm ready to take 1 or 2 questions if you've got really burning questions that are good, that might be general ones that would be beneficial for everybody rather than too personal. And I'll come back with a little bit from the Pleiadians shortly for those of you that are interested. So, yeah, I just want to say thank you very, very much for being with me today. And I feel joyful and abundant and blessed that you're with me. Thank you. Have a wonderful full moon in Saggy.